Hi, good morning. Yeah, I was going to say we hadn't greeted each other in a while, but then Todd took that from me. So, I can't go there. But thank you. It's an honor to be here. I know we have our preacher starting on November 5th, which is a blessing. So this is probably the last time I get to come up here and talk to you guys. So, I can be off the hook today, I want to say we have a great group of people here at our church. I know that Jim and Jeremy and some of the guys got together to help move somebody yesterday. And it's just an example of how wonderful this church is and how much good works they do. I can say that a few weeks ago, I was moving my mother-in-law with my boys. I moved all her stuff into a storage unit. And I thought we'd be done by 2. We started at 9. And so 5 o'clock came around. I was supposed to return the truck at 3. And I had a truck full of stuff. And so I called Jim and Jeremy. I put a text out. They showed up in like 15 minutes in the pouring rain to help me unload. Again, there's a great group of people here, great brothers and sisters that we have in Christ. And I think we're blessed to be at this church. I wanted to talk about lost treasure. So I wanted to start you guys out with a little bit of a story. The Florentine diamond. Has anyone ever heard of the Florentine diamond? So the Florentine diamond is a diamond that found its way to Europe in the 15th century. It's of Indian origin. It's a very large almond-shaped diamond, pale yellow, hints of green, and it weighed 137 carats. Yeah, it was cut in a shield shape with 126 9-sided facets. The Portuguese took over southern India, where the diamond was mined, and the gem was seized from the ruler in India by the governor of a Portuguese colony. The Count of Monte Santo, and he gave it as a gift to his wife. I'm sure she was very happy with that. In 1601, after long negotiations, the Grand Duke of Tuscany, Ferdinand Medici, acquired the stone from Jesuits in Rome, and it was entrusted with its new owners in its sale. The diamond was still uncut, so in 1650, the Duke's son, Cosimo II, employed a Venetian diamond cutter working in the city to do the job. In 1740, the last of the Medicis compiled an inventory of 3,900 diamonds and other precious stones and pearls the family owned, and that diamond was still on the list. The Medici family decreed that all the treasures collected over the centuries should remain in Florence, but the Florentine diamond passed to Empress Maria Theresa, the last of the Habsburg dynasty, through her husband. At this point, it was part of the imperial crown in Vienna. It was displayed there in their museum, and after World War I, after the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Charles I of Austria became the last emperor of Austria, the last king of Hungary, and the last monarch in his house. Forced into exile with the family in Switzerland in 1919, he's believed to have taken the diamond with him. Despite many attempts by the Italian government to have it and other jewels returned. At that point, the diamond vanished. Nobody knows what happened to the diamond. So the diamond disappeared when it was in possession of the Austrian Roman family, and it was valued over $20 million in today's dollars. How much is it worth now after it was lost? Does being lost lower its value? How much of the value do we have? Does the Lord value the lost? And why is it sometimes different for us when it's a person rather than an object? So Luke 15 tells a story of being lost and the value of the lost. Jesus is talking to sinners and tax collectors. And the Pharisees of the law were upset and they muttered about it. And I love that when people mutter around Jesus or whisper around Jesus, Jesus hears them. That you can't say something under your breath and Jesus doesn't hear what you're saying. So he heard them. And so he said to them, 3 parables. And this is a good example of how much Jesus values the lost, because he doesn't tell 1 parable about the lost. He doesn't tell 2 parables. He does 3 parables to express how important the lost are to him. So first he tells the parable of the lost sheep. And this all references Psalms 119, verse 176, Matthew chapter 10, verse 6, and Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. He's all referring to people as lost sheep. And in the story of the lost sheep, I think we all know it, right? A shepherd goes out and he's lost a sheep. He has 100 sheep and he's lost 1. And he leaves the 99 to go search for the 1. And when he finds it, he's rejoicing. Then he tells the parable of the lost coin about an old lady who, I don't know how old she was, but a lady who lost her coin, very precious coin, and she goes everywhere looking for it. And when she finally finds it, she rejoices. Then he tells the story of the prodigal son. Father has 2 sons, and this is in Luke 15. And so let me open that up, which I had saved, but now it's not. Sorry, it's gonna take a second. So, but I'll tell you another little story while my phone is figuring out what to do with no reception, because the verse I had saved is not here. So somebody calls a house looking for a mom and dad. Little boy answers the phone, and the person says, "Hi, is your mom and dad home?" And the little boy whispers, "Well, yeah, they're home, but they're busy." And they say, "Oh, okay, well, what are they doing?" And he whispers, "They're talking to a policeman." And they go, "Oh, what's going on?" He says, "Well, they're also talking to a fireman." And he says, "Well, what are your parents doing?" And he goes, "They're looking for me." So people, lost children are very important, and they're very much searched for in our world. And I am sorry I cannot get to Luke 15. Sometimes.
What verse you want?
I apologize. You guys don't have to ask me to do this again. The prodigal son. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Thank you. All right. So man has 2 sons. I apologize for that. Oh boy. He has 2 sons, and the younger son said to his father, "Give me the portion of the goods that belong to me." And so he divides it up with him. Not many days after, the young son gathered it all together and took his journey to a far country. And there he wasted it on wild living. So after he had spent it, there rose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. So he went and he joined with himself a citizen of that country, and he sent to his field to feed swine. And he would love to have filled his belly with the husk of the swine that they ate, but no man gave it to him. And when he came to himself, he said, "How many hired servants of my father have bread enough to eat and to spare? And I perish with hunger. I will rise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants." And he rose and came to his father, and when he was a great way off, his father saw him, had compassion, and ran to him, fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said to the father, Father, I have sinned against you and against heaven in thy sight. I am no more worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him. Bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And so they were merry. But his eldest son was in the field, and he came and he was drawn to the house. And he saw music and dancing. And he called one of the servants, and he asked what these things meant. And the servant said, Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he received him safe and sound. And the older brother was angry, and he would not go in. Therefore, the father came out and entreated him. And he answered his father, saying, Lo, these many years I served thee. I have neither transgressed at any time or broken commandment, and yet you never gave me a calf, and that I could make merry with my friends. But as soon as your son comes home, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, and you've killed the fattened calf for him. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is yours. It was meant to make merry and be glad, for thy brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. So the father has two sons, and he tells his father to give him his inheritance now, the younger brother. He goes off and he spends it on wild living. And after he spends some time there, there's a famine. So he works on a pig farm, right? And he longs to eat the cobs that the pigs are fed. He comes to his senses. He realizes, hey, my father's servants are all well. They have food. So why don't I work for him? So he says, Father, I've sinned against you, against heaven. Treat me like one of your servants. So first of all, the younger brother, he wasn't thinking of the consequences of his actions, right? He wanted his inheritance. He wanted it now. He wasn't thinking anything long-term. He had no long-term plan. He just was living for the day. And the father lets him do this, which is kind of odd, but it's the father letting his son have free will, which is something our father lets us have even when we want to make really bad choices and bad decisions. So he goes out, and the father sees him far off, and he runs to him. He doesn't wait for the son to come to him. He doesn't say, well, I'll be here, and just, get a smug look, told you so look on his face, which is probably something I might do. But he doesn't do this, right? He runs to his son. He puts a robe on him. He kills the fattened calf for a big feast. And his brother is not happy, right? His brother says, look, all these years I've been slaving for you. I've been working for you. I've never disobeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young calf or a young goat that we can celebrate with my friends. So he is upset, right? And he's angry and he is jealous. It's a little reminiscent about the parable of the laborers in the field. And in that parable, there's laborers in the field, and some of them are hired in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening, but they all get paid the same wage. And I think that in some ways the brother is kind of upset that his older brother is home. His younger brother is home, because he feels like he doesn't deserve what he's getting. But he's bitter, and you shouldn't be bitter, right, about somebody returning home. The younger brother, he was very much in danger. So, if we knew that lost son, what would we say about that? Right? If he was a friend of ours, what would we say? How can he be so stupid? Right? He had it all. Why would he do that? What a waste, right? So think about if that was like a friend of yours who just was with you. He had everything and he just blew it. He just went off, did drugs, partied. I think there were prostitutes involved in the younger brother's life. He was a mess. He was, and we would look at that and we, would be, I'm not talking to that guy anymore, right? Or that girl or whoever it is, right? So the father says, you're always with me and everything I have is yours, trying to comfort his brother. But we have to celebrate and be glad because your brother was dead and he's alive again. He was lost and he's found. What I wanted to point out too is that the older son, he didn't get his feast, right? And he didn't get his, but he did get his inheritance. But the thing was, he didn't starve in a famine. He didn't long to eat pig cobs. He was not in danger of losing his life or his soul, staying with his father, being protected by his father. So this older son, he did all the right things. And yeah, he didn't get the big party that he felt like he deserved, but he was never in the danger his younger brother was in. His younger brother put himself in extreme, extreme danger. He lived under the Father's grace, which is really important and something that we're here, we're living under our Father's grace, right? But people who are lost are not under that grace. And it's a perilous place to be. To the Father, the Son had value. He was loved, and he was important, and he was treasured. Even while he was lost, he's still thinking about his son. I'm sure that father thought about his son every day. And probably whenever he saw somebody approaching the farm from far off, he looked to see if that's his boy. So to God, the lost have value. They're loved and they're important. And they're treasured. And now they have value. Well, they're treasured because the lost are God's mission. They have value. And again, the example of how they have value is because Jesus told 3 parables in a row to the Pharisees of how important the lost were. They're loved. The example is the shepherd, the woman who lost her coin, and the father all rejoiced when their lost objects were found. They all rejoiced, and heaven rejoices when a lost person is found. And they're important. Luke 19:10 says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." The lost are his mission. The lost are the whole purpose that Jesus came. So what's my point? We've all been lost sheep. Right? We've all been that lost coin. We've all been the lost son at one point in our lives or another. Have we been the Pharisees? Have we looked at people maybe talking to folks that we think are undesirable and think, how can they do that? You know, how can they talk to them? Have we been the jealous brother? Have we ever looked at somebody who maybe has been lost and is found, or somebody who is still lost and be like, good riddance? You know, have we ever been that way? Have we ever been that jealous brother? Ezekiel 34 verse 4 says, he indicts us a bit. Well, not us, but he indicts the church a bit. "The scattered you have not brought back, nor have you sought for the lost, but with force and severity you have dominated them." So, you know, in Ezekiel, he's saying that you've dominated the lost instead of embracing them, instead of looking for them, the lost that are scattered. And I think it's a call to the church that we need to seek out the lost, whether it's somebody who's never known the church or somebody who has known the church. When I talk up here with you guys, it's usually things that I'm thinking about and things that, you know, I don't do a good job of seeking the lost when I should. I try to talk to people about the Lord. I wish I was more bold. You know, I brought some people to church, but, you know, obviously not enough. I know a lot of people I haven't brought in. And I always think that we should do more to reach out to the lost and try to get the lost to come to church. We should do more to fulfill the mission that we've been given to seek and save the lost, and the mission that the Lord had. So let's make the angels rejoice. If you're lost and you want to come and be found, the water's here, and I'm sure somebody here will be more than happy to baptize you in Jesus' name. So let's do that as we go and sing.